Welcome to the 365 Message Center Show, episode 338. Today we're going to be covering quite exciting features around SharePoint, where we can co-author on pages. Woohoo! How many years have we waited for that? Also a return of one of my favorites to control the noise, turning off notifications for channel posts. And lastly, Daniel wants to tell us a bit about some Purview features and what we can do to control an experience there. See you shortly.
Daniel wants to talk about. I think
Daniel.
we both want to talk about stuff.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Listen, if you, fellow journeymen, ladies, on this track we're having in education in Microsoft 365 changes, if you follow us on YouTube, you subscribe and you hit the bell so you get notifications, then you would have been notified of our second time we went live in pre-planning, or planning. I don't know if pre-planning. Planning the show, and you would have listened and heard us have a conversation about this, and it wasn't just one-sided of Daniel saying we have to cover Purview stuff. It was a conversation.
You finally got there. Yep. And so the evidence is there. It's not just a Daniel thing. That's right. But we did enjoy that again. It was around about 50 minutes or so. Look, it's freestyle, right? So we go through the messages. We talk about stuff. If you want to join us for a bit, for a little while, or even the full thing, we saw at the end of it, on average, people stuck around for 30 minutes or more. So nice to have you. Anyway, Daniel, we should get right into it. We've got our first message. Oh, hang on. I'm supposed to do a proper segue.
Well, we're supposed to we're supposed to say welcome to episode 338, everyone. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're here.
Okay.
Hit us up in the chat, down below in YouTube, or at 365 MCS on all the socials that matter. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep. Oh, and also tell us how you felt about having separate episodes or separate videos for each of our messages. If you found that useful, then let us know too. Yeah. So, speaking of useful, change in tell us about, I just about said the whole title, things happening with Viva Engage and eDiscovery.
Tell us about things.
Keywords, things.
Change in attachment links in Viva Engage messages to SharePoint location for eDiscovery. It's a really long title. MC 803566. Just a little bit of a history lesson in that Viva Engage used to be, there used to be a product called Yammer. We got new features added to Yammer, and then in conjunction with Yammer, and it got renamed to Viva Engage. Cool. Well, back in the day in Yammer, we could upload documents and store documents in Yammer. And so that was not great when Microsoft bought Yammer and brought it in, because now we have documents in SharePoint, we have them in Yammer, and we can have them all over the place. Well, they fixed that. Now documents that are uploaded into Viva Engage, they're actually stored in SharePoint. However, there is still in Viva Engage that pointer kind of weirdness about storing documents because of that history, I believe. Well, when we're using eDiscovery tools to find content, and specifically here in Viva Engage, those attachments would be kind of wonky the way they would display. With this update that we're talking about in this message, we're taking the wonkiness out. I don't know.
I think I'll borrow that for the title of our episode.
Right.
Taking out the wonky.
Taking out the wonky. So with this one, they're going to update that to where it's going to point to the SharePoint location instead of the back end part of Viva Engage. That actually is just a pointer to SharePoint anyway, really, if you think about it. But so this is going to help with streamlining when you're doing an eDiscovery search for content, to be able to get to those documents and images, those attachments, right, that have been added to those messages. Now, if you have already done an ingestment, you've already done that ingesting of that content in eDiscovery search, then it's not going to change that. So you would have to, after this update is made, it would have to be when you do the new search or content search or bringing into your eDiscovery cases, it would be that new change. Or if an existing conversation has been edited. So if you've already ingested it into your case in eDiscovery, and someone goes and changes that, well, when you go back and look at it, it will have the new pointer. Okay, so if it updates here in the Viva Engage, then it will update for eDiscovery. Yeah, I'm doing a little dance. Get down tonight. So it's real quick. I mean, that's basically what's happening. It's not really changing anything for users, except for making it better. Viewing in eDiscovery, it really is aligning with the other products, the way attachments work. And you're just going to notice that when you're, taking a look at your content discovery or content search in eDiscovery. So check that out. It is rolling out late June, so now-ish or soonish, I guess. 2024 expected to be completed by mid-July 2024. Darrell, I don't know how you're going to share this news into teams that I just covered, but it sounds like it's going to get a little more complicated to be able to share this
Sounds like it. Yes. Well, let's think about the options we do have in this message. Microsoft Teams SharePoint News Connector retires July 22nd, 2024. Hang on. Oh, no, that's a month away. I was like, what?
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
it's a month away. It's not July yet, Terry.
It had a J in it. All right. But it sounds quite negative. What are you laughing at?
There's other months other than June that have a J.
January. Yeah, but it's shorter.
Okay.
January has more bumps in it, right? But at a glance, July and June. Anyway.
Get on with it.
What's happening? The connector that we would use to pipe in new news from SharePoint into Teams is being retired. When we could connect a channel, for example, in a team to pull in news that's been typed up on a SharePoint page, it would create a new post each time. And that's the connector that we're losing. Now, don't worry, don't panic. There is still a way to still get a similar effect. And this message really does detail it. I want to talk about that option first, Daniel, before the other two. You can create a workflow in Teams. And there is a really good article at the bottom that steps through the process for how to create that. You can, put that in place and have a bit more control over it. It's a manual thing to do. And Daniel confirms to me, and so you have to hold him to it. There is no cost involved for that workflow.
I am not a licensing expert, nor do I claim to be. Check with your Microsoft representative.
Yeah. Anyway,
but yes, when you're creating flows, and you're connecting to M365 products like SharePoint and Teams, which is what we're talking about, then it is included. You don't have to get a premium license for Power Automate.
Yep. Good. Well said. The second option is, I think, what is being promoted now as the preferred option, that if you're an organization that is using connections, and I think Microsoft wants everyone to be using Viva Connections, then that app, when it is in Teams, will become a trigger for notifications. Oh, you have that app in your experience. So rather than me delivering that to a channel, which might get full and you might not necessarily talk about that news, we're going to deliver it as a notification in your activity feed. And so it'll sort of fit in there. Now, what does this mean? If you want to have a conversation about that news and you think it's newsworthy, then you need to share it yourself into the team where you want to talk about it. And I think that's where some people enjoyed that automation, so they might prefer that workflow option. Our third option is Viva Amplify, which is definitely a paid option. All right, and this is a good developing suite of tools that communicators in your organization can use to author news, author messaging, and push it out to various different channels and do it in quite a clever way. And that would be a way to deliver it into a SharePoint site. And I think maybe that is in conflict with the retiring connector method. So with those three options, Daniel, what do you think you'll be using or even helping people to set up?
I think it depends. I am a consultant, so it depends. The Viva Amplify, if an organization is already using Viva Amplify or if they have the need for it, and it is just because it's paid doesn't mean I don't talk about it, right? I definitely talk about it with organizations. This is a great tool. It's going to get even better once they connect to Viva Engage. Hint, hint. Great tool. So if that's what, if you're open to that, cool, use that. However, it doesn't cover all news, right? There's news that's published on the team level, on the department level, that really isn't covered, I don't think, especially on the team level. It's not covered under Viva Amplify Focus. Right? Viva Amplify Focus is for corporate communicators. And so if I create a news item for my team on my SharePoint site, I want it to go to my, the comparable, or the connected team site, then how do I do that? I'm not going to use Amplify.
Well, I mean, okay, you could. It could be turned on for you and you could use it as a leader of a large team.
Right, but I'm not talking large team. You qualified my team. My team is not very large. It's 20 people. I don't want to use Amplify to publish to one place. Amplify is to amplify. So in that case, then I'm not going to use Amplify probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to maybe rely on Viva Connections news notifications, which is maybe that's, but then again, that's mainly focused on my home site.
And my personal experience is not driving conversation.
So then it gets us to the third option, or the first one you covered, which is workflow. So every team is going to have to create a workflow.
Yeah.
If it's just their team site, I'm just creating news there, and that I want people in teams to see it as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, I say team site. It could be a communication site as well. Yeah. For your little group, for your project. Think about your project. You're creating news. You're going to have to create a workflow for every one of your projects to publish news into teams if that's what you want. Yeah. It's a bit of a burden.
Maybe that's why people don't bother creating it as news and they just put it as a post in Teams. Yeah. But okay, so what is impacted here, dates and times. Starting July 22nd, that's when you won't be able to create new news connectors, SharePoint news connectors and Teams channels. And then as time goes on, 26th of August, that's when you'll begin, those connectors will begin to retire and they won't receive new posts. Right, so it's happening in quite a short period of time. And so start looking at those other options. Not a traditional, when is this rolling out, but when has this been removed? So speaking of removed, no, there's nothing about being removed here. It's actually quite an addition, quite one that we've been anticipating. Daniel, take it away.
Microsoft SharePoint. Collaborate on SharePoint pages and news with coauthoring MC 803012. Yes, this is something that Microsoft has been talking about for a little while. It's something that I think we've wanted for a while. Given the modern features of a page, hey, let's collaborate on this. Let's have multiple people editing a page at once to make it awesome. Let's have that, right? Because you have different roles. You have people creating content, editing content. You have people who are very mindful of the way things look, so they want to move things around on a page. Well, this is it. We're going to be able to co-author on a page with each other. You can edit even in sections. You can be working in a section together. So in this way, it is really pretty close to co-authoring experience in the Microsoft 365 apps. Word, PowerPoint. There's some limits there too. There's some limits in those Microsoft 365 apps as well. Like, you are not allowed to edit certain sections while someone else is editing it while they're doing it, right? And once they stop editing, maybe they move out of that section or they pause for a little bit, then you can edit it. That's the way that works. Very similarly, we're going to be able to do those same things in SharePoint. So we have a lot of bullets there underneath the screenshot that I'm going to talk about in a second, but a lot of bullets detailing how this kind of works. Where you basically are going in and saying edit. You can edit while someone else is editing. When you're done editing, you click save and close. It gets you out of that editing experience, but the other person's still editing and making changes. I can publish that page while you're still editing it. Now it's going to say, hey, other people are still editing. Are you sure you want to publish? I can publish that and push it out and say, okay, we're going. So it doesn't, I think it's a good thing. Now there's some caveats, but I think it's a good thing because that means I don't have to wait for everybody to get out, right? He's still editing and he went and we're done. It's ready, but he didn't click save and close. He got up to go talk to, John over there about something and
Yep.
I want to publish. Now I have to wait on him. No, you can go ahead and click publish. So that's awesome. There's a few caveats, but I think for the most part, it's great. You got to think about this whole delay. There's probably going to be a little bit of delay in the editing. It's pretty quick. It's pretty fast. To see what other people are typing. They've definitely improved on that. So I'm excited about this, Darrell. Are you excited about seeing where people are editing on a page and
Well, I mean, that part of it helps me as a remote employee to feel connected with the team that's working on something with me, like that. And also a good signal to say, no, you can't click into that web part. It's being used right now. But I think the greatest value is that I don't have to wait for Daniel to get back from lunch and ask him, hey, did you upload all the changes that you've done? Because I really want to make a change on this page.
Yeah, you're going to see it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're going to see those changes. You're going to see people uploading and adding text and editing.
Yeah. Now, there's plenty of questions I have around, I guess more of the limitations around when we are editing. Yeah, it's locking a web part. That's cool. I think that's fine. I don't think I've ever edited the same sentence as someone in a Word document before. That's ridiculous. But what about changing the layout? If I've gone into editing mode and so a couple of people are working on web parts halfway down the page, and I think that section should be up there, and then I publish that change, what effect does that have? So there's going to be things like that are going to become clearer in the documentation. Probably if I've read the bullet points closer. But I am excited about the change.
Yeah, I mean, you could think about moving web parts. It could get kind of interesting where you're working on a web part and then all of a sudden someone moved, all of these web parts above it. So now the web part you're looking at is shifted. I mean, it's the same thing as would happen in a document, right? If someone adds a bunch of content, your stuff gets shifted. I mean, but there's some... I think just playing around with it, getting used to it, that people are going to have to do. It's the same as they did with co-authoring documents. You just have to get used to it.
Yep.
I think they're continuing to make changes or working on improvements on this, and I think it'll only get better with time. But I'm loving that this is rolling out. Speaking of rolling out, this is rolling out targeted release late June 2024, so soonish, and expect to be completed by late July, and then general availability early August 2024 through late August 2024. Now, this is a perfect example of why every organization should have 2 tenants at least, 1 tenant set to targeted release, so you can actually test this before it rolls out to your organization in your regular tenant. Just want to put that plug in there for that. Thank you, Darrell, for letting me do that. Let's talk about turning on notifications or off in
See,
Teams.
it seems that you do the same thing. Sometimes you
know.
get stuck for what to say.
I do, and then I
So
say the whole thing.
I'll repeat it and say, yeah, what Daniel said. Microsoft
Yeah.
Teams, turn notifications on for a post in a channel. Look, we know what it is, and it was something that we could do in classic Teams. Have a conversation in a team. Let's say it's a channel that is used by, I guess, an all-org team or something super important. Communications, they're posting something in there, and it's mentioning the whole team. Great, got the notification. And then you go in and reply to that message. And you go, hey, that's great, congratulations. Now that you're subscribed to that message and any replies, ding, 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 off in your pocket, you know, I had to put, look, I practiced that, okay? It's something that I quickly want to distance myself from. So this is one of the reasons for the features. Turn off notifications on a post in a channel. Now, you will still be able to be brought back in if someone mentions you, which is rightly so, but it lets you control the noise. There isn't too much more to say about this because it is a return of a feature, but I think it's a welcome return. And Daniel, how do you feel about this feature?
I don't know that I'll use it very much. I'll probably use it for those noisy ones, like you said.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm welcome. I'm here on the team. Like posting about a new employee. Into the team. Oh, welcome, and then all 40 other people are going to say welcome.
That's the one.
Well, I'm going to turn that off. I don't need to see that everyone is saying welcome. I already said it. Things like that. So I'll probably use it for stuff like that. Sure.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Right, so this is, there's a bit of a breakdown here in the when will it happen. Targeted release rolling out early July, complete mid-July. General availability worldwide. I have to say it like you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll begin, because it's a brand, we'll begin rolling out mid-July 24 and complete late July, and then general availability for GCC, GCC High, DoD will begin rolling out late July and complete early August. And speaking of August, it's only a few months away. That's all I had to say about that. But maybe in August I'll think about retiring something classic.
Oh gosh, that was terrible. Retiring Stream Classic tab on Teams chat and channel. I threw the and in there. It's actually a slash, but MC802005. And starting on July 10th of 2024, the Stream Classic tab features. So when you go in to add a tab into chat or into your channel in Teams, that will no longer be available in Teams. Okay, retiring it. So if you haven't been keeping up, Stream Classic is being let out to the pasture. Okay, we've talked about it a lot on the show. This is another one of those items that needs to go, which is the tab in Teams being removed. So July 10th, it's no longer going to be available. The reason why we're covering this, we've covered Stream Classic going away and Stream on SharePoint being the thing. The reason why we're covering this is there is going to be no notification to your users that it's happening. So that is up to you, change agents, admins, and people who care, who are watching this show. You're going to need to notify your users, hey, if you're using this tab in chat or in your channel, then it's going away, and you need to replace it with maybe something like a list view, that's a playlist of your stream videos, or maybe it's a SharePoint page that you have created to show as a playlist. You're going to need to replace it. So make sure you communicate that out. This says it's rolling out mid-July, but we know it's July 10th because they gave us a date, and completed by early August, but I don't know why they say that, because they say starting July 10th. I guess it will roll out through August, through all the tenants. So you're going to need to communicate this. This is one of those where you can't tell where it's deployed. really, I mean, you're going to have to just communicate this one.
Fair.
Yes. Speaking of communication and closing the loop, Darrell, tell us how users get informed.
Well, sometimes when we like what we see in the App Store for Teams, we make a request because the app just doesn't install. We've got secure environments, right? Yep, and so we make a request. Well, this notification, or rather this message about a notification, Teams users will now be notified when their admin unblocks a requested message, MC802703, exactly as it says. You, months ago, liked the look of an app, or someone told you about it and you wanted to investigate it for your team for productivity, but it was you couldn't install it. Well, now that an admin follows along, maybe they bring it to a change board or a governance team and they talk about it and say, yeah, we can approve this one. It passes all ticks for security and compliance. And so they release it. Good news there, you'll be notified about it. The app is now available. You can try this out. Now, hopefully the period of time between your interest and the release is not too long. Time will vary based on how it's run within an organization, but let's just say it's good to get the notification. So that's really the goal of this thing. Where will you find this notification? Users will be notified when the admin approves and unblocks the app. Doesn't really say anything about an email or even what does the notification look like? Oh, it's got to be an email. Yeah. So the screenshot we have in the message has an example of an app. Below the app, after you've added it, there is just a tiny little print there. You can manage your notifications at any time and set how you'll be notified about those apps. So good. Targeted release rolling out early June 2024, complete mid-July, and general availability in mid-July, complete late July. And finally, Daniel, finally, I believe that this message is in your purview. Can you cover it for us?
Nice. I like that transition.
Getting better.
Use Microsoft Purview to prevent some connected experiences that analyze content. MC 802004. Does that make sense, that title, to me? No, it does not. So let's explain what this is talking about. So when you are labeling content and you have a sensitivity label to protect content, you really can't prevent that content from being sent to Microsoft for content analysis, right? So being, whether this is errors or anything that's coming up, you can't really prevent it. So that's a security problem. Well, now we are going to have the capability of putting a setting on sensitivity labels to prevent that sharing. So with that label, if so specified for a specific label, then we're not going to share that content and send it to Microsoft. Even though, it's in M365 or whatever, still they're not going to be able to see it. So this is, there's details on what you need to set. It's set by PowerShell. So you're going to have to, when you're creating a new label, or you can do a set label in PowerShell, and it's called, what's the command? Block Content Analysis Services. So if you set that to equal to true, then that content will not be sent to Microsoft for analysis when they're doing troubleshooting or analyzing issues that come up. So just real quick, we wanted to mention that. I think it's, frankly, if you're labeling content, it seems like, now most organizations will have a general sensitivity label. A lot of them call it general or something comparable, where it's just basically all content that doesn't have a higher level. It's just, then maybe that one you wouldn't set it. I don't know. I think there could be an argument that maybe everything that has a label we just don't want to send to Microsoft for analysis. But you can choose, which one that you want to do that with. Darrell, are you sensitive? Do you want to label it?
No, I am insensitive.
Yes, so you can share loops externally, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So my small MVP tenant, because I don't have employees or anything, I don't have security labels enabled.
Sensitivity labels.
I am in sensitivity labels.
Yeah.
I don't have.
It doesn't
security.
help the joke. It doesn't help the joke if you call them security labels, because you can't say you're insensitive.
But I'm insecure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're.
No, I use security. Hey, hold on there.
Hey, now. So public preview available early June via the current channel preview. Now that's related to Office, right? Because we're talking about labels in Office, Microsoft 365 apps. Sorry, I called them Office. But we're talking, Word, PowerPoint, that kind of thing, right? And then general availability late June, so soonish / early July via the current channel, which is most organizations their users are in the current channel, right? Yeah. So that'll be rolling out very, very soon. Awesome. That's it. I think we've covered a great swath of information. Hope you enjoyed it. And be looking. One thing I just want to drop. Hey, we're going to go live every Friday. It's Friday afternoon Central Time. It's Friday 4:30ish p.m. We're going to be going live doing our pre-show. Would love to have you join us, everyone. So please be looking out for that when we go live on YouTube.
Yeah, just tell us what you want to hear about and help us sort the messages. Yeah. That was 338. See you next week. Bye for now.